Hello, and welcome to our presentation of UML Design Sequence by Caleb Johnson and by Christopher Hemming. What is a UML design sequence? A UML design sequence is a diagram that models the flow of logic, shows the interaction between objects in sequential order, shows the transition of requirements to higher levels of refinement. The design sequence is not strictly meant for a developer. It is a useful tool for communicating the functionality to other people who are unfamiliar with programming. It's easy for them to follow and to understand. How we create one is by using lines and arrows to indicate the direction of flow. Boxes are used with borders to indicate a function or class. The class name or function name should be in the center of those boxes. This is a demonstration of our get file function for our project. The get file function uses the file name, retrieves the file name, which brings back the file name to be used in our get file function. And the get file function brings the file back to be used in other processes.
Some of the pros of using UML design sequence include showing the sequences at a very high level view. This means that you are able to show cases in the system, solutions, or any applications that you would like to apply. These models, as discussed previously, are very easy to understand, which means that stakeholders, users, or any type of non-programmers are able to understand the model and follow along. The UML design sequence also fixes any communication gaps between different developers, which means that if you have a developer working on one portion of the project and a different developer working on the other, you are able to use a design sequence to clearly state how those two will interact and keep the communications between them very high. Using UML design sequences also shows that you know the proof of the concepts, because you will be able to show how the sequences, solutions, or any applications apply to and within each other. Some of the disadvantages, however, of using UML design sequence include the fact that it is very well known for being too complex. This means that it can sometimes show an inside-out view of the system. And because it's very complex and it can be very large, it's not always in formal notation, which means that you don't always need to have a UML design sequence for your project to show what your project is going to do. And because it can be very large and very complex, and it's not always necessary, it can sometimes be very time-consuming to create. Because there are so many tools, a very new user of UML design sequence will not always know what to use and what best tools to use for the design. This is also not the best way to communicate what the system will do. As mentioned, it presents more of an inside-out view of the system, which means that it's more of a what it is and not why it is, showing what the system is and not why it's going to react or how it reacts within the system. The recommendations for using UML design sequence include whenever you would like to observe the behavior between multiple objects. This means that you're going to show how the objects collaborate between each other, whether it's sending solutions to each other or showing how systems are going to change, or whenever you would like to find any alternatives to sequences in objects. This means that it's going to show the logical view of the sequence, which lets you change or modify anything that you would like to show the precise definition or the behavior between the diagram. Thank you for listening to our presentation. This is Caleb Johnson and Christopher Hemming, and here's our works cited.